Okay, now that we have a solid grasp on the three rigid motions, then now we can actually use those rigid motions to prove that figures are congruent. Or if we know that figures are congruent, then we can deduce from that that there must be some sort of rigid motions that led from that maps one onto the other. So let me show you what I mean by that. If you know that two figures are congruent, then that means there exists a sequence of rigid motions, and it could be just one. Usually in these problems, there's more than one, but it doesn't have to be. A sequence of rigid motions that maps one figure, otherwise known as the pre-image, onto the other, otherwise known as the image. So, and like I said, the opposite is also true. If you can establish that a series of rigid motion exist, then that proves that the two figures are congruent. So you have a couple of tasks here. Task number one is going to be figuring out the sequence of rigid motions. And then task number two is going to be writing it down and making sure that when you write it down, you have to be specific. You're not going to say something like, oh, it's a translation and then a rotation. You need to be specific and include all of your necessary parameters, just like we did when we were learning these the first time. So for example, in the diagram below, we have triangle ABC is congruent to triangle this should say A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. Describe the sequence of rigid motions that would map this triangle onto this one. So what I recommend to you here is I always recommend if there's a translation to be done, I always recommend that you do that first. Because what we want to do is if there's a reflection involved, then we want to get corresponding sides to map onto each other. And if there's a rotation involved, then we probably want to get corresponding points to map onto each other. So let's take a look here and decide if those things exist. So remember, one of the first things that you should check for, the one property that lets us know if a reflection happened or not is orientation. So if I do this here, I have A, B, C. So if I start at A and I go clockwise, I have A, B, C. Notice that if I go clockwise from A here, I have A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. So it looks like there's no reflection here. This is just a translation to get points mapped onto each other, and then a rotation. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to draw in our vector here. We don't this is not a critical thing, but what we want to do is we want to draw in our vector. So let's do this here. Let's draw in our vector. Here we go. Ooh, that's kind of crazy. Okay, so there's our vector. And then all we did was we basically rotated. So what happened is when I did that, I got something that sort of looked like this. Doesn't have to be exact. I got something that sort of looks like this. So this would be B prime. This would be A prime up here. This would be C prime. And then what did I do? I rotated this around this way until B prime mapped to B double prime. Okay, so here's how we do this. You can do this two different ways, and typically it's your choice. So one way we could do this is we could write it out. Okay, so we could do this like almost like in steps. So what did we do first? In step one, we translated along vector A double prime, triangle ABC, which gave us triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. And then what did we do? We rotated, big R, about point A prime. And then how far did we go? Well, we went the measure of the angle from B prime all the way to B double prime, which is basically this angle right here. From here all the way around to here. Let me take out this little piece right here. There's the angle right there. So we don't know how many degrees that is, but what we can do is we can just say the measure of angle B prime, A prime, B double prime. That's how many degrees it is. We don't know exactly, but that's how much. This is of triangle A prime, B prime, C prime gave us, I'm running out of room, triangle A double prime, B double prime, C double prime. Okay, so we could actually list it out in steps. Another way to do it, which gives us a little bit more leeway that you might like better, is to just kind of describe it. So that would look more like this. First, translate triangle ABC until A maps to A double prime. Then rotate triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. We're going to add something to the top in a second here. Rotate about point A double prime until B prime maps to B double prime. So that's, and we can beef up step one there. Translate triangle ABC until A maps to A prime to get triangle A prime, B prime, C prime. You could do something like that. The point here is that I have to be specific. So remember, when you do a translation, you need to tell me the vector. So you kind of describe the vector until A maps to A double prime. And then when you rotate, you have to tell me the center, about point A double prime, and then how much until B prime maps to B double prime. It doesn't really matter what direction I go. That's not super important. So make sure that you give me all the applicable information. The other thing that I see a lot of, be careful, is I'm not translating or transforming single points. I see a lot of people say something like translate point B until it maps to B prime or something like that. You have to make sure that you're transforming the entire object. You can use points as reference, but you have to do the transformation on the entire object. That's a problem that I see a lot from students. Let's one more. So here we are on the coordinate plane this time. Let me make this a little bit bigger. So we're on the coordinate plane now. I'm going to move this over to the side. So I've got two objects here, and I want to prove that they're congruent by describing a series of rigid motions that would map one onto the other. Let's see if there's a reflection involved this time. So if I start at H and go clockwise, I get H, I, J. And if I start at the corresponding, so remember, we got to look at the names to figure out what corresponds to what. H is the first letter, so that means K is the first letter in the other one. So that's what corresponds. So I start at K and I go clockwise. I get KLM. Doesn't look like there's a reflection here. Looks like their orientation is exactly the same. All right, so what do I need to do here? I have to translate it until it's basically similar to the other one. I have to translate it until points correspond, and then I have to rotate it until points correspond. So what I'm going to do here is, here's my vector. I'm going to draw in my vector. I'm not going to use that big arrow this time. That was a little hard to see. I'll use a smaller. Here we go. So I'm going to start from I, and what does I correspond to? I corresponds to L. So I don't think I'm actually going to do that. I think I'm going to go from J to M instead. All right, here we go. I'm going to go from J to M. Here's my vector. From J to M. Okay, and then I can put the arrow on it. And then I'm going to rotate. So when I do this, J prime is going to go right here. And then H prime is going to be here. And I prime is going to be here. And I like to use dotted lines when I do this. There's nothing special about that. It's just what I like to do. Something like that. Then I'm going to rotate it until I maps to K. So I'm only going to rotate this thing. I'm sorry, until I maps to L. So I'm going to rotate this thing this far. I'm going to go from here all the way to there. That's going to be my rotation. Looks like 180 degrees, doesn't it? That might actually be it. So, okay, so let's write this up. So again, you could do this with notation. So I'm going to translate along vector J, J prime, triangle Hij, that will give me triangle H prime, I prime, J prime. Then what? Then I'm going to rotate it about point J prime or about point M, either one. And it looks like I'm going to go 180 degrees of triangle H prime, I prime, J prime. That will give me triangle KLM, which is what I'm looking for. Or another option is to write it out. Translate triangle HIJ until J maps onto M to give triangle H prime, I prime, J prime. Then what? Rotate, whoops, I spelled that wrong, about M 180 degrees, and you can even add this, until I prime maps on to L to give triangle KLM. Okay, so this is basically what we're doing here is and you've got your choice. Some people prefer to use the notation. Some people prefer to just write it out. The nice thing about writing it out is you get a little bit more leeway, especially when you're trying to figure out those angles and stuff. So it's your choice. I would practice both, see which one you like better. The last piece that we need to do here, geez, I almost forgot this. I forgot it on the last one. The last piece that I need to do here, though, is I need to add the final statement. And here's the final statement. Because this one asks me to prove. It says prove it. I've done some stuff here, but I have to write something now. Since there, let's see. Let's write it this way. Translations, I got to move this up. Okay, here we go. Translations, here's what you're going to write. This is your concluding statement. Translations and rotations are rigid motions that preserve side length and angle measure so triangle, this is what you were being asked to prove. Triangle HIJ is congruent to triangle KLM. That's your concluding statement. We need to make sure, remember, we got to answer the question here. So this is sort of like the method, but then we need to have our concluding statement if you're being asked to prove that the two things are congruent. Sometimes the question will just say, find the sequence of rigid motions. Other times it will say prove, and if you need to prove, then you need to write this concluding statement. That's it.